Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive, critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we decided to make this episode a drinking game. So anytime we say anything negative at all about each other, about this film, about how Dave has been too old to be careful for 30 years, you're going to hear this sound.
Damn.
That sound means we're taking a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
So pour yourselves a glass and get ready to watch more Nazi salutes than Musk at a rally.
Not too many.
Guys.
Yeah, fuck him. He did it twice.
All right, fellas. We are talking today about The Train. That's right. We picked it last week as the random year generator spun 1964. And to be fair, The Train came out in America in 1965. So depending on where you look, it might say 1965.
So it's a foreign film.
However, it was mostly filmed in France. It's set in France for sure. And it came out in France and the UK and pretty much all of Europe, including West Germany in 1964. So we're sticking it into the 1964 year. We're going to give you some context what happened in 1964, what other movies were going on, and hopefully that sets up why we decided that The Train, about a World War II Nazi era, literally Nazis, and the French resistance trying to prevent the Nazis from smuggling art, including Picasso's, Monet's, Manet's. Yes, Picasso did paint a little bit in France, so some of the paintings were in France, even though he was Spanish. I did look that up. And a lot of other famous paintings and famous artists. Germany was trying to steal them a week before the Allies were coming, and a lot of people died to prevent them. I definitely had some Star Wars vibe. A lot of French resistance people died so that we could have this French art.
Damn.
And that's it for me. Hey, how you guys feeling? John, Dave?
I mean, till now, my experience of the French resistance was Allo Allo.
Yeah?
I think it was a British sitcom. It was hilarious.
Never seen it. Yeah. I feel like I need to read more about this movement.
Right.
Talked about the show last year, The New Look.
I saw it too. We both talked about it.
Yeah.
There's at least one horrible French accent in it, but otherwise...
Hey, at least there's French accents.
Oh, sorry, I gushed myself. I meant to burn. Dave, that's for both of us. Good point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love Ben. His accent was no good.
I guess so. I really don't know.
It was harsh. It was a musical. Yeah, it was harsh.
It was filmed in that particular period where Frenchmen sounded American and Nazis sounded like Daleks from Doctor Who.
Even though the actor was Australian.
Definitely a time capsule movie in that sense, before they actually made movies in foreign languages and sold them abroad intentionally. So
I wonder
we'll talk about that for sure.
I love how, but going back, there's a lot of action in this, a lot of train sequences, which is awesome. So you love it. Unstoppable, you're going to love this movie. You love The Monuments Men? You did not love The Monuments Men. The Monuments is fucking awful, but it's basically the same idea. People, I wanted to walk out of the theater when I saw it. It was too bad.
It did make me curious about that movie. I was going to ask you guys if you had seen that, because I never saw it.
I saw it in theaters, and I think they just wanted it to be like charming, and I don't know. It's just, I think in this movie, did you see this originally? Burt Lancaster had Arthur Penn hired to direct this film, and they fired him after 3 days, which, by the way, come on. 3 days? Anything that person's doing in 3 days, you probably should have known in the prep, right? Like he said, they were focusing too much on the art and the culture of art and not enough on like the action and the actual things that these laborers did. You know, these train operators risked their life to sabotage a train. That was the story, as opposed to like the art that they were saving. You know what I mean? It was the people. And I actually loved. So anyway, they decided.
Burt Lancaster found in a minute. Bring that up again, because there's a counterpoint to that.
Okay, well, we'll come up. Yeah, exactly. We'll do that in a second. But anyway, I love that it's practical. I wonder how much, there would be a lot of practical for sure, but it would be $300 million, and there'd be a lot of AI to boof it up. Just like how Dave's program that knows our voices so well apparently can have us do accents. So we got to hear John with an Australian accent today.
Well, actually,
really
it can't do accents, so that was it redoing my voice, but it kept the accent.
I see what you're saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, so it was John's voice, but it was
taking what I said and putting it in John's voice, but it keeps the Australian accent. That's why it was hilarious.
Oh, it was everything you said.
Yeah.
Honestly, John, it sounded like your point. So
it's actually
we got to give Dave more credit
last week. Do you fucking listen to what we're saying?
No, we talk about this every week. Friday comes along and I go, what movie are we doing this week? I don't even remember what year we spun.
That's for all of us.
And Dave's not even drinking.
No idea.
Dave, we're in April. So Dave has taken the year off from drinking because of about 50 years of terrible choices. And so every month, all of the buzzes.
Hey, I'm 52. It's 52 years of terrible choices.
I will say you definitely look. You definitely look a lot younger than the people in this movie, who are definitely younger than you are now when they made the movie, and they look so much older than you do. So kudos to you for that. Your spine may not represent that, but your face does. So kudos. So I forget what I was just going to ask you. What were we talking about? AI? Oh, I don't know, some shit. Oh, who are you donating to this month?
At the moment, I'm still in the food bank.
Nice.
Yeah.
Food bank in New York City.
Yep, that's the one.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I'm excited.
It was like, I looked at it after a month and it was only up to like 30 something. I'm like, it's not enough. So we'll keep it going.
That's true. I ranted about Severance last week, right? Did I talk about that?
Fuck yeah, you did.
Okay, cool. So the White Lotus finale is happening right now, so we can't give our thoughts in the final segment of our show, what you've been watching. But John, do you have any mini reviews?
No minis. No, I did watch a couple series from start to finish, but we only do movie mini reviews here.
Would you have COVID? Fucking hell.
Well, did you watch Adolescence?
I did.
Fuck yeah. Okay, we'll talk about it at the end of the show. Anything else?
And one other series from start to finish.
Okay, is it a new show or is this one of those you need to watch the show from 6 years ago?
It's newer. One of you mentioned it. One of you mentioned it, so it's a newer series, but that brand.
All right. Well, why don't you shout our sponsors out, and then I guess we can get cooking.
I will. We have a beer guy. His name is Carlos Barroso. His handle is cbarroso.beer. You can see it in the show notes because nobody knows how to spell that unless you're from Brazil or Portugal. So click on that handle, go over to Instagram, like and love all his beer making shenanigans. We also have an artist in residence that makes music, and he gives it to us for free. He's sponsoring the show as the music artist in residence. His name is Dasein, Dasein. You can find the link in the show notes as well.
He gives it to us for copyright claims on YouTube.
For copyright claims so that Dave can have a headache every few years.
We haven't had one in months, actually. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been fixed. It's been fixed. Download all that stuff. It's got some new releases coming out soon. Be on the lookout. I just said that. I think it's always kind of true. He's always working on stuff. But go and download and listen to all the other things. Dasein. All right.
I've been here. These AI catchers are getting really good. I heard somebody say something like they sang something on one platform and then they like posted it on a different platform and it was like copyrighted or something weird. Like they're getting really good at spotting.
Anytime you upload something to YouTube now, if it's music, it automatically signs you up for the thing.
Okay.
If you create like a channel or something, I can't remember exactly how it works, but basically that was what we kept running afoul of with the music.
I love when like a couple thousand people at two of these companies are just doing all this bickering that affects all of us while the global economy is crashing.
Yeah, it's like, really we'll protect you.
And industries are gone and kids are going to school going, should I study this? Because that industry literally might not exist in 8 years. Like,
yeah. I'm glad I got that degree in programming.
Oh, yeah. Remember they told all these people to code and now they're telling them that AI is going to do it for them anyway?
Yeah.
God.
Programming is coding.
I heard on the Deacons podcast this week or last week that somewhere in the UK, there was going to be a film that was entirely written by AI that was going to hit the theaters. And there was like a backlash from the industry. And so it got pulled, but it exists now. The movie was going to go into theaters. So, I mean, we're there, dude. Anyone who is still arguing about it taking a little bit more time, or I know this is kind of a hot take, but anyone in the arts who is arguing about the difference between taste and how AI can only reciprocate, like, stop. These are our competitors now. It doesn't matter. That argument isn't going to sell tickets. So we need to start thinking differently about how we're competing with this shit. If we can't convince these fucking assholes to bury it at the bottom of the sea where it should have been in the first place,
which is never going to happen.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it should be a tool to speed up your workflow so movies can come out and TV can come out faster. That's all it should be.
It's not.
It's going to be more than that. So I don't know.
Well, that's because
tell them.
That's because the motherfuckers running the industry are more concerned about the checkbook.
Every industry
at the moment,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Every industry.
For sure.
That's what unbridled capitalism is, guys. Michael Lewis has a book out. It's a follow-up to another book he did. He's been making the rounds, but he was on the Jon Stewart podcast talking about it. And it's basically about, do you guys remember at the end of The Crown where she was supposed to fire all of these specialized people to eliminate government waste, basically? Yeah. The prime minister told the queen that she had to do that. And then she found these people and they were so established and gave their life. They didn't care about the money and the fame. They just wanted to be the queen's swan keeper, and that gave them unlimited pride.
I was going to say the swan keeper.
The swan guy was the best. The swan keeper is the best. And then there were a bunch of other very niche jobs that nobody in the world has. And she, at the end, she says, "No, this is our." Honestly, similar to our movie, it's like, this is our pride. This is our heritage. We are the ones that have this expertise. And anyway, Michael Lewis told a couple stories, one of which was a guy that could tell you how your body floats depending on how big you are, your mass, the waves and such, so that the Coast Guard can find people like people who fall off cruise ships faster, for instance. He was furloughed. They found somebody who, it was a rare disease thing because no pharmaceutical company ever invests in rare diseases because they're not lucrative.
Yeah, no money.
And so, but somebody like published a paper and there were like two girls that also got this rare disease. And on one, the mom every night was like, going insane and found this paper online and was like, "Hey, did you try this?" And they said, "Fuck it, let's give it a shot," and cured her. And then the other 6-year-old girl, their doctor didn't do that. And so the girl died. And it's like, who is going to keep these? Who are these rare specialized people? Anyway, that's basically my gripe and my rant. I'm inspired by John Lewis's book. I hope we all read it. And hopefully, it seems like things are going to have to get really bad before they get worse. But hopefully we all decide that that's the world we want. We want the world where there is some random person in Connecticut that knows how to help find people that fell off cruise ships and not, well, fuck it, too expensive,
Yeah. I mean, sitting here having our podcast like we're like the world isn't burning around us.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are.
We found the three rooms that aren't on fire, and that's where we're doing the podcast.
I did feel a little catharsis
because
watching this movie this week, but keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, it's funny because I have nothing in my phone or anything, but I'm still a little wary of traveling because, they check your phone coming in, but also, what if they found this podcast? I'm fucked,
dude. I mean.
I'll be broadcasting. You'll see me like log on, and in the background there's like just a fucking field of kangaroos because I've been sent home.
Honestly,
I would love to see a kangaroo come onto your screen.
I might be scared. Those things actually scare me. I'm not scared of most things in this world, but I'm scared of kangaroos.
Yeah, just punch them in the face. They're good.
They'll punch you back.
I know. I don't like it.
Dave, just punch him in the face. You want to go into that catharsis, John, or you want to hold on? I basically already said the same thing. That first scene that woman has. We're not going to get to the movie, but that scene the first scene, I recorded it and sent it to Angela. I was so moved by it. I wanted to watch it again, and I was like, "You're going to love this movie," and I recorded it and sent it to her.
Nice.
It's so good.
Hell yeah! Yes, yeah.
All right, and it's available on Prime. I should have said that at the top. So if you got your subs up, you don't have to pay any money to rent it. It's right there, ready to go. Oh, it's so fun. So many train sequences are fucking awesome.
I had 2 or 2.5 minute breaks with like 4 or 5 ads in each of them, but then it was over. And they happened.
I paid for the new one. I paid for the upgrade. I want Amazon to have all my money.
Okay, good for you.
Thank you.
It wasn't terrible with those ads, but yeah,
better than Plex that I watched last week.
I'm giving them enough.
Dial M for murder.
Yeah.
Dave, you want to gripe about anything?
No, I'm good.
Should we do it? Should we get into it? We got a White Lotus finale to watch, so.
Yeah, right. That's how we get this show under an hour. Have the White Lotus finale straight after.
No.
Also, Formula One.
It's only 5:30 for me.
Formula One in Suzuka was real fun today. Got my F1 shirt on. Yeah, John.
That's for threatening us.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and let's get into the year in review. If you just want to get right to the train conversation, you can check the show notes or just kind of tap the screen on your device right now. And I bet you it'll tell you exactly where we're going to start that next because Dave keeps that really tight and tidy. But we're going to start with our year in review, and I think it's going to help set up some context. Are you guys ready to talk about the year 1964? And we've already done 1965, so I'm really glad we didn't try to scoot this one into that category. 1964. Are you ready?
This is just before the 60s got freaky.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's talk about it. We like to start with the box office. I checked Wikipedia, of course, and I also checked the numbers, and the list is very similar. So today, I'm actually going to go with the numbers. What do you think was the highest grossing film of 1964? Or certainly that came out in the year 1964.
Oh my God. the Beatles movie, Hard Day's Night.
So I would buzz you, but the Beatles' Hard Day's Night is number 10 on the Wikipedia list. So if it's in the top 10, I'm not going to buzz you. I don't think it was a smash financial hit at the box office, but fair enough. Anything else?
The James Bond.
There were 2 James Bonds this year. One came in at number 3 and one came in at number 5. Wow. Actually, Goldfinger was number 3 for MGM, and From Russia with Love came out number 5.
All right, then one last. I always feel safe going with the musical, My Fair Lady.
No, but it came in second, so I'll give you the buzz. My Fair Lady came in second, and it made a lot of money. Apparently, it sold 77,000 tickets, which the average ticket price, the numbers gives us $72 million. The number seems insane. Maybe it's adjusted for these fucking people before 1980. Yeah. They make no sense. Because Mary Poppins did not make $102 million for sure, but Mary Poppins was actually the highest grossing movie this year. But John, there you go. You got 4 guesses in the top 10, so we'll give you some credit.
God, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Mary Poppins, of course. The story behind it in that Tom Hanks movie, Finding Mr. Banks, that's actually a really good movie if you like your Mary Poppins or your Disney history, because it's pretty accurate.
And there's some fun irony about the stage to screen. Talk about that.
The stage,
those 2 movies,
where they both ended up in the musical stage. You mean? And they had different. What do you mean?
I thought Julie was on stage as
for My Fair Lady.
And then
not in the movie.
Did not get cast in the movie, and then did get Mary Poppins and ended up killing it. And they were like, "Whoops."
Yeah, and then Audrey Hepburn did just okay in My Fair Lady.
I mean, she did a good job, but Julie Andrews is
she can do both. Also, theater, right? Julie Andrews was pregnant when she was hired, and they said, "Well, we'll wait." And the writer of the book almost didn't give up the rights. So anyway, there's a really good story about Mary Poppins. So there you go. Mary Poppins was Disney's highest grossing movie, and it was the number 1 movie at the box office this year.
Quick little note here. If 77,000 tickets were sold today for an average price of $17 per ticket, that would be 1.3. There's no way that's right. There's no way it's only $1.3 million.
Billion. I'm going to go ahead and say billion.
I'm going to say billion. Yeah. I think I forgot to add the 0.
Also, where the fuck are you getting these cheap tickets?
Wow.
17.
17. Yeah, we're only averaging out there, right? Anyway, holy smokes.
Is basically a Super Mario Bros. I know it's 1.3 billion because they talk about it in the studio.
It would have kicked the Minecraft movie's ass.
So for our top 5 here, we usually do the top 10. Mary Poppins 1, My Fair Lady 2, Goldfinger is number 3. That came out December 22nd. Good Christmas movie. The Carpetbaggers for Paramount comes in at number 4. From Russia with Love there at number 5. Again, 2 Bonds in the same year. How about that? And to round out the top 10, Father Goose, A Shot in the Dark, What a Way to Go, with an exclamation point, The Unsinkable Molly Brown, and the original Pink Panther. That's in your top 10. A couple other shout outs. You got Viva Las Vegas, number 11 there. You got Beckett, Zorba the Greek. These all made some money. Marnie. And I'll shout out before John gets a chance to. The Palme d'Or this year went to The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Was the Palme d'Or winner. And the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival went to an Antonioni film, Il Deserto Rosso, The Red Desert. Any other movies you want to shout out from this year?
Sorry, did you call out Dr. Strangelove?
No, I did not. A previous episode that I was not a part of, but a different Jeff stepped in my place.
Definitely that. Fistful of Dollars. Talked about
Mein
that.
Führer!
Yeah, we didn't talk about Marnie. We almost chose Marnie, which is one of the kind of second-tier Hitchcocks that I still have not seen. Sidney Lumet's Failsafe, which we also almost did. I still really want to see that one. Night of the Iguana, some good old Tennessee Williams there with the classic couple. Woman in the Dunes. Oh, I definitely want to call this out. It's art house as fuck, but oh my God. This movie is so good and so intense. And I think anybody who has never watched an art house movie should take a chance on that movie, Woman in the Dunes. It's nice. An experience.
It's a documentary about New Year's Eve on the Gold Coast.
By the way, did you say Viva Las Vegas?
No, I did not, Chandler Bing.
I think you may have.
That is unfortunately true. That is unfortunately correct. No, did you say Dead Ringer, the Bette Midler, Carl Malden thriller? That looks cool too.
No, I didn't, but good call.
Robin and the Seven Hoods with Frank Sinatra, and Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh,
yeah, Robin and the Seven Hoods.
That's a problematic title.
They tried making that into a musical. It went to London, did not make it to America. Last one I'll shout out before doing some awards is I talked recently about The Pawnbroker, which we also almost chose. That's a Sidney Lumet picture. Again, another World War II. This is in that era. It's 20 years past, and now all the great films. Just like in the 80s. We had the Vietnam stuff, yes, late 70s, but then even through the 80s into the 90s, you had some good Vietnam.
He had two movies come out this year.
What was the other Lumet one? Did you already say it?
Failsafe. And then it's funny because our director of this episode, John Frankenheimer at The Train, also from TV, like Lumet, came out of that kind of school and was just a real boss of being prolific. He had two movies come out this year. Another movie called 7 Days in May, which I haven't seen. It's supposed to be good. And then, of course, I think we should probably finalize our list here by calling out Band of Outsiders. A little guitar for you.
Wow.
Right.
A couple other things. Academy Awards, a lot of them went to My Fair Lady, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress. And when they asked her afterwards, how do you feel? She said, well, I think there's only one word to sum up how I feel. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Very different from Honora. How do you feel? What if she quoted something from her movie, huh? A little different. Different kinds of characters here.
Julie Andrews.
I think there's only 3 lines in that movie. They just repeat them the whole film.
Yeah, I think so. I think those are the only lyrics in the whole movie.
What if Audrey Hepburn thanked the sex workers of London for helping her?
Yeah. What if she was like, I needed to really feel what it was like. And they were like, man, we got to get out of this sex work by marrying a rich person. And that actually was My Fair Lady. George Cukor, of course, is the director of My Fair Lady. Actor Rex Harrison for My Fair Lady. So, My Fair Lady versus Mary Poppins. Nice little battle there. Peter Ustinov won Best Supporting Actor for Top Copy. And the Best Supporting Actress went to Lila Petrova for Zorba the Greek.
Top Kappa. It's Turkish. It's the
all right, that
Turkish,
sounds great.
Sultan's Palace on the Black Sea in Istanbul.
And then just a little bit of film news. It says Elizabeth Taylor marries Richard Burton. I'm assuming that's the first time? 64?
I think they're both in Night of the Iguana.
Yeah.
It's the first time.
Yeah, the first time they take on a good play. Let's see. The animated film Hey There, It's Yogi Bear is released. Not only is it the first theatrical production produced by Hanna-Barbera, but also the first full-length theatrical animated film based on the animated television program. So the first Yogi Bear
probably
movie.
Knocked their fucking headquarters down too.
And I just saw there was a movie came out this year called Kissin' Cousins. That's Kissin' with an apostrophe at the end of it. Cousins.
Well, of course,
doesn't make it better. Doesn't make it better.
An army officer returns to the Smoky Mountains to convince his kinfolk to allow the army to build a missile site on their land. Once he gets there, he discovers that he has a lookalike cousin. That's the blurb from IMDb, and I guess there's some kissing involved in there somewhere in the Smoky Mountains.
The last thing is that
essentially Brokeback Mountain in the 60s.
Arthur Miller. That's weird. Arthur Miller wrote a play called After the Fall that was supposed to have a film adaptation starring Paul Newman and Sophia Loren. This is announced in Photoplay magazine. But Sophia Loren, who was supposed to play a role that was written about Marilyn Monroe, and Sophia Loren was very young at this point and definitely an idol of her age. The film was never made. But Arthur Miller's personal film that he wrote about Marilyn Monroe was never made. How about that? Are you guys ready for some world events? I got some fun ones here. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the biggest news from 1964 is, of course, the Beatles playing on Ed Sullivan's show for the first time. Coming to America in 1964. How about it? They played 3 songs, All My Loving Till There Was You and She Loves You, before taking a break for Ed Sullivan's other guests, which include character actor Frank Gorshin and Welsh entertainer Tessie O'Shea. How come I don't remember them when people talk about this? The television show audience, how many people do you think watched? And the population at this time was less than 200 million, about 200 million. How many Americans watched?
30 million.
Dave?
I'm going to say 60 million.
73 million Americans watched.
Wow.
The
Get a
Beatles
life,
on Ed
America.
Jesus. What else did they do? It was Sunday night. Like, what else did they do? You can't go outside. There's no lights. They're probably still using fucking candle lights.
Did you hear on the headlines this week, New York Times, that guy found an original tape recording of their Decca Records audition? He didn't know what it was. It was just sitting in his record store for decades, and he finally listened to it. And it's the Beatles' Decca Records audition.
And he said, man, I could have retired so much sooner if I just fucking found this years ago. Okay, so that happened. How about this? This is another piece of big news. The first 12-ounce aluminum can was introduced by Royal Crown Cola. I'm literally using a 12-ounce aluminum can right now.
Everywhere else in the world, they made aluminium ones, but...
Hilarious. I love when you learn accents. They're like, just so you know, in England and Australia, they say aluminium. And it's like, that's not going to help me master this accent.
It's not an accent thing, dude. There's extra fucking letters in it.
There are.
Don't even say. I still want to say Oregon to every single person who lives there. It gets a fucking O. And Houston, you can't say you live in a house in Houston. It makes no sense to me. We can't get into this. Okay. I live in a house where Houston makes no sense. Look at the words. Write them out. The first Ford Mustang came off the assembly line, 1964, and the sticker price for a new Ford Mustang was $2,368. On the other hand, if you didn't want a Mustang, you could buy a new Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3 for $16,655. So
you can't even get one of them at the moment.
Rolls-Royce is way more expensive. Actually, shout out today for my hockey fans. Ovechkin passed Wayne Gretzky's goals record, basically because he's older, not because he's better. And Wayne Gretzky said when he set his record over Gordie Howe, his team bought him a Rolls Royce. So that's why I'm saying that now. Symmetry. There you go. Shout out Wayne Gretzky, the great one, the best ever. Fuck everybody. Fuck Bobby Orr. Fuck Gordie Howe. Fuck Alex Ovechkin. Yes. You're all great. Okay. A telephone call from a payphone cost 10 cents, which actually seems kind of high.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was reach out and touch someone. That was AT&T when we were kids for international calls.
Do you remember?
10 cents a minute, right?
Hey, Mom, it's Jeff. I'm at the Y. Come pick me up. Do you want to accept this call? No. I got so many free collect calls from my fucking parents. 1-800 like 1-800-10-6. You remember those numbers?
Yeah.
I forget what those numbers were. Hey, I'm at the Y. Come pick me up. Do you accept? No.
No.
And that commercial. Hey, Bob, we had the baby. It's a boy. Will you accept? No. Who was that? It's Bob. They had the baby. It's a boy. It's so good. Okay. The price for a 26-inch color TV averaged $379, which again seems kind of high to me. 26 inches, $379. And you know that color had like 6 shades.
Yeah. It was like 8-bit.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or the BLS, 1964 was a year of strong expansion in the American economy. It was an unusual year, yada, 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 a lot of sales records, etc. But it was also the 4th consecutive year of upturn. Do you remember this time? It would have been so great. And also Kennedy died like right before this year started. And yet somehow the upturn kept going. U.S. Surgeon General Luther Terry warned Americans that cigarette smoking caused both lung cancer and chronic bronchitis, and people stopped smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Later in the year, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, announced that it would require cigarette packages carry a warning that cigarette smoking is dangerous to health. In 1960, about 60% of Americans smoked cigarettes. 60% of Americans.
90. When was that 60 Minutes episode that The Insider is based on? Where 98? They finally outed them. Yeah, like late 90s. Jesus.
Maybe it was just The Insider. That was 98. And thank you for smoking. If my son's 18, I'll buy his first pack. Whatever happened to, what's his name? What's Two-Face's name? Remember that guy?
Aaron Eckhart.
Man, where's he been?
Good actor.
How is he not in like a new True Detective season?
I think he was in the Palm Royale. No, I feel bad if that's not.
No, he wasn't. That show was really bad, and I remember it, even though I wish I didn't, but I do not remember him in that.
Okay,
if he was in it, that shows you how bad that show was. Okay. President Johnson said the tax reduction rate. The bill lowered the top marginal tax rate from 91% to 70% and also reduced the corporate tax rate from 52% to 48%. 52 to 48 I can do. 91% to 70 I can do. I know you're wealthy, but 90% tax is ridiculous. 70% I can handle. 13% I cannot handle, or whatever it is right now. Okay. The 24th Amendment was ratified in the United States, which means you couldn't charge a poll tax. They still want to charge different forms of poll tax right now, but this outlawed it. In 1964, up until then, you could theoretically charge a poll tax so that poor people or, I don't know, non-white people couldn't vote, basically. But in 1964, when Johnson was trying to pass civil rights legislation. And he did get reelected this year, Johnson. So he was running after Kennedy obviously passed away, and he was so gung-ho and winning, and he won in the biggest landslide of all time. He was trying to pass some legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And the poll tax. Those are different things. Okay, a couple more fun things. You ready? A gallon of non-fat milk costs 95 cents. Again, that seems higher than I thought it would have been. 95 cents for a gallon of non-fat milk. Bananas were 15 cents a pound. That's more like it. And sugar was 59 cents for a 5-pound bag. What are you doing with 5 pounds of sugar? Get the
that was
fuck out of
sponsored by
here,
the pharmaceutical sponsored by the pharmaceutical companies who are sitting there with diabetes.
Oh my God. What family of 4? How long should you put 5 pounds into you? I hope that's out over a year and you're not eating it like it's flour or some shit. Jesus Christ.
They're putting it on everything.
The top 5 most popular TV shows 1964 into the 1965 year. So it's a little fucked up. It should have been the other way around, but I guess they had the mid-season September to May, and this is what we go with. Bonanza, Bewitched, number 2. Gomer Pyle, USMC. I feel like that's a joke old people say that I like hear. I'm like, Gomer Pyle. I don't know what they're talking about, but sure, I get it. Love it. The Andy Griffith Show comes in at number 4, and The Fugitive comes in at number 5. And no, not with Harrison Ford. He was 12 or whatever. 10 cool food and beverage trends for the year. Now, this is my favorite. Are you ready for this?
Oh, God.
10 cool food and beverage trends. Number 10, the Waldorf salad. Number 9, Vernon's ginger ale. Vernon's ginger ale. Number 8, Swedish meatballs. Oh! Number 7. Number 7, Royal Crown Cola. We've already mentioned them here today. Thank you for inventing the aluminum can. I hope you get money for it now. Obviously not, because you're not in business anymore. So you fucked that up. Number 6, pineapple upside down cake. Pineapple upside down cake. I would kill someone if they gave me that on my birthday. Hey, pineapple upside down cake. Sorry, what is this?
Don't knock it till you tried it. Pineapple glaze is amazing.
I don't like pineapple.
Yeah,
Number 5. Number 5, Ma! The meatloaf.
Delicious. I made one the other week.
You fucking carnivore. You were vegetarian for so long. And now you're not only making meat, you're making a loaf of it. Gelatin molds come in at number 4. Number 3, frozen dinners. Seems a little vague. Number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2, chicken pot pie. I used to eat them a lot, and then I realized they were actually not good for you. I thought, I was like, it's chicken and vegetables. Yeah. And about a pound and a half of
calories.
Cream. I looked at one of those. I was like, I can make this in 5 minutes, and it's delicious. And it was
holding that sauce together.
It was like 2,000 calories or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? John, how good?
Dude, that's what I had for lunch.
Oh my God, John, you never had the fucking chicken pot pie at the Brooklyn Diner.
I tried it. I tried a bite of it. I think that one was 3,600 calories, if I remember correctly.
What?
Yeah. I got a whole
how much sugar was in there?
Half pie serving of that at Disney, and then got on the Rise of the Republic ride.
Oh my God!
And I was in. You're in pain. I was in doubt for a minute.
Was covered in Popeye. Yeah.
All right, and number 1, I wish we had a drum roll. Number 1. Here's my drum roll.
Fuck you, John.
Number 1. Hey, what do you call a cow masturbating?
Jerky?
Beef stroganoff.
Oh. I thought I was onto something. That's pretty good.
You want to hear something really funny?
You want to hear
something that's 100? You want to hear something that's 100% true?
The cow can though.
You want to hear something that's 100% true? I learned that joke from the associate pastor at my church when I was in youth group.
Yeah, that might have been a pickup line.
Was that before or after he touched you?
Actually, he was a really nice guy, and he was gay and had a partner, and he knew my family was friendly, and so he came to see the church one time, and my family let him hang out with us, so he didn't seem like he was obviously the gay partner of this pastor, because it was still in that time where you couldn't just be out. That's true. All right, good guy.
Grooming.
I already said a lot of the shit. I think we can get it. A new home was $20,000. A car was $2,200 for a new car. So a Mustang was basically pretty average, honestly. Monthly rent was $115. The gallon of regular gas was 30 cents. First class stamp was $5. Federal minimum wage was $1.25, which sounds really low. And a new clothes dryer from General Electric cost $99.95. Oh, 2 more things. The average price of a pair of Tom McCann shoes, the old Tom McCann shoes, was $9.95. And in 1964, you would have paid $1.96 for 400 squib aspirin tablets. All right, I think that's
you
as
learned
good.
Something on this episode.
Yeah, right.
Squib. I know. I wish I remembered all these things. Squib aspirin. All right, are you guys ready? It is officially time for us to segue into our conversation on the train.
Yes.
John Frankenheimer. And I always want to say Frankenhauser because Frankenheimer, I feel like I'm saying John Jingleheimer.
Yeah. I can't get past Frank. My brain goes Frankenhooker.
Okay, that's worse.
Yeah.
This movie is based, they say loosely based, but it's based on the book Le France de l'Art, which came out in 1961 by Rose Valland. There are a lot of uncredited writers, but 2 would be nominated for an Oscar. The only Oscar that it was nominated for, not this year, the following year, the 1965 film year, which were Franklin Coen and Frank Davis wrote the screenplay. John Frankenheimer directed after Arthur Penn was replaced. Like I said, Burt Lancaster co-produced this with a whole bunch of other people. And let's see. I think I'll just read the IMDb description, then we can start talking. No stuffy criticism. Shoot from the hip. What'd you think? What'd you feel? Did you love Burt Lancaster? Do you think Paul Scofield is one of the best movie villains of all time? Not just in this movie, but just in general. Shakespearean legend he is. Here we go. In 1944, a German colonel loads a train with French art treasures to send to Germany. The resistance must stop it without damaging the cargo. Take it away, fellas. What'd you think? What'd you feel? The train. How many Frankenheimers have you done? John, you were so obsessed. You're like, I got to do more Frankenheimers. I was like, yeah. I guess we've talked. I don't know if we've talked about the Manchurian Candidate, but have you seen other Frankenheimers?
I have not. That is, I'm going to be honest with you. He's one of those people who has, like Matt, I referenced that. He's got a very long career and he's prolific. So I had seen some of his later movies, like
Dr.
Reindeer
Moreau.
Games. I know that's funny. But
I like Reindeer Games.
Growing up.
Yeah.
I saw Ronin. Do you remember that De Niro movie? That's a cool movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I didn't know that was Frankenheimer.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. And then I've seen Jesus Christ. What did you just say? Manchurian Candidate. I had seen that, the original one.
Wait, yeah, the original one, yeah.
The original,
which was
Demi
right
did
before
the
this. So
remake.
this is probably why Burt Lancaster was like him.
Exactly. But I've never seen Seconds, which I know is supposed to be a fucking masterpiece, which came out in 65. I've never seen Birdman of Alcatraz, which was supposed to be great.
I was looking at that.
I've never seen...
Have you seen The Island of Dr. Moreau? I keep hearing stories about this, and I feel like I want to sit down and actually do it, even though apparently it was bad. Apparently the filming of it was horrible.
Yeah, the production was cursed almost.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of he's got a giant career, so there's a bunch that I feel like I should have watched. That's it. All right, Dave, let me talk since I'm already talking.
Okay, go ahead.
I loved it.
Oh, he did The French Connection too, by the way. I don't know if that's good.
Wow.
Okay,
what are you trying to do, me?
Gene Hackman did do it though, which is great.
Dude.
Okay, cool. I love it too.
I thought this movie was so fucking cool in every single way. And the only caveat that I guess you do have to say, because we kind of mentioned it earlier, so I'm going to put it out there because I don't want to talk about it for the rest of the episode. Yes, they're not doing perfect French, and because they're not, nobody's talking in the right accent, or some people are doing an accent, but nobody's talking in French. There's no subtitles. This is absolutely one of those older productions where they are American actors for the most part, or English actors playing these parts as though they were French and German. So that's the caveat, but get past it because I thought it was so cool. I don't know. There's so much I'm excited to celebrate and talk about. What do you think, Dave?
I feel like this had far less Nazi punching than I was hoping for.
But that's part of the fun, right? It grips you because they don't just punch.
The thing is, it's a war film, a heist film, and an action film, kind of all rolled into one. You get a little bit of each as you go. And I did feel like later in the film it started to lose steam, no pun intended.
I'm coming for you.
Just because some of
this Food Bank of New York.
Just because how many times are they like, it didn't work, we need to stall again in a different way.
Yeah, it kind of became obstacle overcome obstacle, but in saying that, there's definitely some magic in there, and I didn't hate it. I just felt like it kind of dragged a little bit. And going back to your original point about the loosely the loose adaptation of it. The actual train, if you look up the story of it, none of this happened. They actually just diverted it onto a ring railway that circled Paris until the Allies turned up.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, the Germans are that stupid. So
yes,
that sequence where
Nazis always are.
the diversion sequence really worked, and they just kept doing that over and over and over again.
Yes, they just did a circle around Paris till the Allies turned up.
I do love that in the movie, and I'm sure they did that in real life. They're like, Germany, I'm home, and they're looking around, and it's definitely still France.
Apple Maps.
I mean, I guess I agree. I'm more on the side of John here. I loved it. And I do feel like there are some things that, like, if you really wanted to pick nits, you could, like the accents and some other things. And, like, how did they all have all of these signs printed and ready to go? You know, maybe that is something that they actually literally did just in case. Like, I don't know. But, you know, if you really wanted to, like, have fun with your friends, you could probably find some things like that. Or maybe some of the cheesy lines, which I think they did well. I think they handled. They had that opening scene, which was really moving.
A couple of million people turned up with signs ready to go yesterday.
Like, yeah, there you go. I think some of the most important lines are like, we'll get to it in a second, but it's like, but we will remember. That, like, those lines and stuff. I was almost saying it as there. I was like, I hope he says, I hope we'll remember. And then he goes, and we will remember. I was like, yes, okay, good.
It got
maybe some of those are
too.
predictable, but I feel like it was such a light touch. So back to what I said before, Les Mis too. I loved that it was a working class film.
Me too.
And
so much, dude.
Not even just the action being working class, meaning it was messy, it was greasy. We were watching train engines overheat, you know, and pulling levers and get people getting steam in their eyes and, like, what looked like real sweat, although it was probably, like, you know, sticky glue that they put all over their face to look like sweat. But, like, they were sweating, like, they were working for sure. But I mean, that the first conductor, the first engineer or whatever, is the engineer, the first guy that drove the train, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You get that guy and you're like, this is it. Like, this is perfect casting. This guy is so clearly.
Brandon just texted me. Dasein is watching it right now. Funny enough, literally right before you said that sentence, and he literally just said, "I'm watching the train now. The original engineer might be the greatest character ever."
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God! Wait, he's like saying it as I'm saying it. Dasein,
like a minute
Brandon.
Yeah, that's funny.
That guy
and the casting.
The casting's incredible. But I mean, it's such a working class action film. Like, I said Unstoppable before. I love it. It's Denzel and Chris Pine. And I know this is Burt Lancaster. He did everything he can to dirty himself up, but it's like you know, it's I love that about it, and I forgive any of those other little mini kind of things, like the movie things that are in it. Even Dave, like you're saying, like, that's what movies do. We come up with obstacles, and I feel like the fair play thing is a big conversation right now.
At one point, though.
What was that?
Like that, at one point, like, that train got stopped so many times, it would have been quicker to take that guy's bike and deliver the paintings one by one.
But that's how it goes. We just watched Dial M for Murder, and what did they say? The whole premise of the thing is, like, you always have a perfect idea, and then something happens that's unexpected that you can't plan or you can't write, and that's why it never works. And it's like, that's it. Like, if you could easily script something clean and easy, and I just love that everything kept going wrong. I'm okay with that.
Oh, we fucked up the train. All right, let's get a crane and fix it.
It should have just been, honestly, it could have just been the diversion, and then it comes back to the original thing, and that's it. It could have just been that.
Fixing that train, though.
But then you sit there and be like, why are the Germans taking the paint off the train? What the fuck is wrong with them? Don't they, like, who cares about the paint? It's not a target. They don't want to destroy the paint. Don't they know that they don't want to destroy the train? So why, it doesn't make any sense anyway.
No, I thought that was great because they were initially planning on moving at night and they didn't want that to draw attention.
Oh, I see.
Before he realized, oh, fuck, that is our way we're going to get through this. I thought all the problems were solved. And I like that they're good to fixing the train. One, like, that's kind of a mindset we just don't have anymore. Like, of course they had those engineers on hand to fix shit like that, but they also did a good job of saying, one, there was tension because Paul Scofield was like, I want this done quickly, and he really kept pushing that point, but it still would take hours or an entire night. We're talking about 12 to 15 hours. When that one broke, he said, I need at least an hour to put a new rail in there. And then they had those great close-ups where it showed you that was kind of not a great job, right? Like, it was they stitched it together just enough to move across it, made them go really slowly. Like, I don't know. I thought that stuff created so much reality for like an analog world that doesn't exist anymore. I don't know. It really.
It's also I will give you that in that it's good to have a villain who's smart. Like
For sure.
He's foiled and he overcomes the obstacle because he's fucking smart.
He is Paul Scofield is so good. Future Academy Award winner for A Man for All Seasons the next year. Well, 66.
He's the judge, and he's always the judge for me.
And Crucible, that's his picture.
Crucible, yeah.
But the Fred Zinnemann movie, Man for All Seasons, he won an Oscar for playing St. Thomas Aquinas.
I don't even know where to begin with talking about this. Yes, I always think about you, Jeff, when I start talking about World War II movies. Like, it's not
no
that
more
these things have never been. Fuck you! I love them. There's too much material.
One of the
I
early
love
ones.
that there's.
I've probably had enough.
The working class angle is the best part about this because what do I always say? We teach you how to watch a movie. They invite everybody to this movie very quickly by giving us permission to not know or care about every single painting that's in there. It's about theme of caring about that. It's not about the actual works. They don't celebrate them too much. They have those 2 sequences where they show the names on the boxes. It's some emotion. I'm not saying there's no emotion attached for people who love art, but a lot of it is about information. Oh, I've heard those names before. I guess it's a big deal. And then we're back on. Our surrogates are the working class guys, and they're not just working class guys. This is another theme that I think is important. That I've never fought in a war, so I've only experienced this through movies and television and novels. When they are first pitched, the idea to rescue this train, to stop this train and not blow it up, it's very clear, and they play with this a few times. They play with the same idea when they with the engineer that we were just talking about. It kind of doesn't really matter that they don't really understand the importance of the art. It's just one more thing that represents something they need to defend. And that's why I was so touched by it. It's another element that they were willing to die for because it's
a week before. They could have gone in the woods for a week and survived the war and lived. And
literally, that's kind of the whole point, right? I mean, I don't want to cut straight to the ending, but I'm just going to allude to this, and I want to come back to it at the end. One of my favorite parts about this movie, because to your point, Dave, I felt like this movie was kind of slowing down, and the climax felt like what I thought was the climax was like not quite as much as I thought it was going to be. And then this movie has the fucking nuts to build to a quiet climax. Yeah. And you almost just never see that. And I was so affected by it. So talk about that a little bit later. But I thought that the way they handled the human element, not the pretentious for the sake of protecting art element, which has always been interesting to me. And I have always found it very curious. And I'm glad that the art curator at the beginning says to Paul Scofield, part of me always appreciated that you cared about these so much. You could have easily destroyed them. And it kind of made me think in that conversation.
See, here's the thing as well, that particular scene, even if you're not on board with the art, they show it all out on display and they make you hang there for a minute while they kind of appreciate it. So even if you're not into the art, you don't know who these painters are, the very final scene in that segment is the empty fucking thing. It's been stripped. And it's just bare and it looks horrible and And it's
amazing. I want to talk about that technically.
Even if you don't, even if you're not on board for the art, the fact that all that was taken away has a reaction.
And how he loved it, but he also was willing to sell it. It was really complicated.
Don't let me forget this. Hold on, I'm not finished. The most amazing thing about that beginning for me was that it's an inconvenient beginning because one, we start with our villain, a Nazi is in there, and he's the first person who empathizes and cares about the art. And I love that it creates this conflict. It's not just I think the mechanism he uses to negotiate when he's talking to his higher ups about how it's worth more than money, he's selling them an idea. He really understands that we want to harness something that we know is more valuable than money, is culture, is something. So I love that they open this fucking thing by having 2 peaceful oppositional characters in this particular scene, a general who has this agenda and an art curator. And then for the rest of the movie, you have to decide, it's unfortunate that there's humanity on both sides of this. It's just, I thought it was so clean and important because then you have the working class come in and they realize we're the action. Those 2 things are philosophies. We don't really care about the nuances of the ins and out. One of them needs to be fought against.
They do the title score really well to set it up too, where first of all they open with this film is dedicated to all the French resistance railway people, not even just the resistance, the people that work the railway here.
It's not often the French get publicly thanked.
That's true. No buzzes. That's it. But then the thing that actually stunned me even more than that opening, which was okay. was it opens on August 2nd, 1944, which apparently is based in truth. And it is where Monuments Men opened. So it's after D-Day in France, right? And it says the 1,511th day of German occupation. And that number to me, I was like, holy shit, 1,500 days. I was like, I think that's 5 years, 4.5 years. It's so many days. And then this whole thing, is going to be over between 3 days and a week. These people made it 1,500 days and they're still alive. And then it's that whole conundrum. So it opened, Burt Lancaster does it so well where he says no. They say no. And actually, I think two of my favorite moments in the scene are in this opening scene. But one of them is she has this speech and it's so good. And then finally, Burt Lancaster says, no, we just can't do it. I can't risk that many men, whatever, etc. And then one of the other guys, I forget his name, but he's with Burt. He's with him until the end, right? He goes, can you just repaint them? Can you just recreate them? And then she has that smile that's like, it's like she's not going to argue with this guy.
Really.
She's not going to, but she is acknowledging it. And with the smile, she's like, I know you, I think you're kidding. I know you're kidding. And it's just like that little knowing smile where it's like, she knows it's not as important as the Germans leaving, which in a week is going to happen. She knows that. But at the same time, I don't know, there was something about it that was just so powerful that you can only get away with in fantastic movies like this. And the second one is not in the scene, actually, but I'll pivot, is the Christine character who becomes the innkeeper. And I love, because in Messianic tales where you have the person who is the hero, and they talk about whether or not, do you think you're a hero? And that's a theme that comes up. She says to him, who do you think you are? My husband died and I was there. And now this person's husband died for you. And basically says, like, I didn't agree to this. Just because you think you're doing the right thing doesn't mean that everybody should die for your, we didn't sign up for it. We didn't sign a petition is the way I'm interpreting it. And it's just like a reminder that, like, even though we're watching this movie going, I hope they pull this off. They're doing it for all the right reasons. Even the people involved don't even really know what they're getting into. And we can't just celebrate their death. It's like, it just lays that on its head. That's why I love that ending, John, that you talked about, the quiet climax, because he can't yell, he can't stand up for everybody because he's not perfect and he knows it too. And it's like, it's just basically like, I hope this is all worth it. You know what I mean? It was what a depressing way for a hero's journey to end, And it's like, I just hope other people think it was worth it. And I thought it was so powerful.
Yeah. A warrior's, it's so often a warrior is only active in a sense in a wartime setting, especially with action, not with words. And again, we'll get to it, but like the climax, his answer after Paul Scofield's villain monologue is a machine gun.
The funny thing is that, right? That monologue comes after he has so much trouble admitting to himself that he's lost.
Oh, that scene was so good. That other guy was
awesome.
a
great scene. Like when they're trying to tell him you've lost. Like when
Paul Scofield says, like, you're a great major or whatever it is, you're a great leader or whatever, to the other guy who says we've lost twice.
Man, there's just so much to unpack. Let's jump into some technical stuff though, just because, oh my God, you guys, I wanted to throw up with how inspired and impressed I was by the direction of these giant sequences. The camera movement, yes, Richard. The camera movement throughout was, just A+ for me. I just felt it was remarkable. But then when you put on top of it that, of course, so many of these sequences, all of them were done practically, and of course, some of them I bet were not done more than once, or certainly not done much at all. So where they placed cameras, I just can't get over it. And it turned a train movie before lots and lots of special effects and high speed and stuff like that. It turned it into such an intense action, thrilling experience watching these trains leave the station, move through places, dodge bombs. The crash. I really just can't get over
the crash. They had one take. Any time the trains were destroyed, it was one take.
What about the air raid?
Those wide shots.
The first air raid
when they were first. Yeah, that wide shot of the first air raid when that
fucking air raid is like, the studio gave us a massive pyro budget, so we're filming them all.
unbelievable, dude. I thought that was just
that thing blew up so much.
It was awesome. The big ones are of course impressive, and I miss anyway, seeing so much practical effects. I just feel like it's not comparable to the CGI and stuff. I just feel like this is so much more. It's thrilling because it's real. But that's not the best part of the direction for me. The best part is how the camera moved in the dialogue scenes, in the smaller moments, and where the camera was placed throughout. There's so many times where he uses, he layers composition with people in the background, characters in the background, with a deep enough focus so you can see what's happening to everybody in high moments of tension. The way the camera is choreographed with staging in scenes, Spielberg totally not stole. Everybody does this, but there were multiple times where a perspective would be handed off based on camera movement, where you would be following one thing, they would leave, somebody would cross in, and you would start to go with them, and then something would come down, and you would float. I mean, these amazing things that we think of as more like blockbuster style kind of camera moves. Frankenheimer is doing it in 64.
The really funny thing is going from 54 to 64, like we did in these 2 weeks. You can actually see the evolution of cinema and camera movement. Like there's multiple lighting sources. They're using shadows a lot more. There's camera moves. There's like really creative angles, and they dirty up the frame at the front a lot more. More precise lighting, and there's even a Dutch tilt thrown in there for good measure.
There was one point.
Yeah.
Just that one, right?
Yeah,
I think there was even a handheld moment.
Absolutely,
at one point, right?
I think I don't know. I think it might have been on rollers, like a.
Okay, I thought for one of those scenes, I thought, oh my God, did they just walk into that room with a janky cat? I thought they were like fucking carrying that thing.
I certainly know they put it in some places you'd never seen before from a perspective.
So I was not let down at all by what Frankenheimer brought here. I just thought it's the kind of intentional direction that is just the opposite of what a lot of studio filmmaking became, which was more about coverage. I felt like he designed or discovered each of these scenes the way that they ended up being filmed without the kind of typical coverage. And it ended up yielding, for me, a lot of thrilling suspense and a lot of drama.
What a great way to cut down on takes, though. Just, we're going to have this person in the background suddenly become prominent.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, it really did feel like
it's a trick they use all the time now in cinema.
It is, man. It's great. It's great. Burt Lancaster. I thought he did a really good job. I thought everybody did a really great job, but his
after From Here to Eternity.
The knee story? Because apparently during filming he went to play golf and he fell in a hole and busted his knee up. So they wrote him getting shot in the leg in so that he had an excuse to limp.
No wonder he was so good at that limp.
Yeah, right.
He hurt his golfing.
He fell in a hole or something. Or stepping in a hole.
You guys, not picking on the A-listers today. I know some of them do like to do their own rolling around, but that sequence where he's going down the hill and falling and rolling and sliding. I mean, I was so impressed. He did all
he would have been seen.
Himself.
He would have definitely been seen, but it was really good to watch. Man, they would have seen him fall down the hill.
I don't think so. They didn't come out. That was on the other side of the hill.
You saw people in the background when he was. There were a couple times where he was like going from tree to tree, and you were like, all they have to do is look up, and they'll see a man running.
You can't fucking quietly fall down a hill.
Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter.
The movie sequence, the scene where he's sneaking to make the call is when I was like, they just took all the sound out, and he's like 15 feet behind that guy and like running and jumping up on a building and stuff.
Yeah. He became a parkour expert. No, but he was sensational.
And to I'm going to poke hole in your attempt at hole poking of how could they make the signs. That train was hours from each of those locations, and he put in that call to them. So they would have had hours to paint a sign.
Yeah. Well, some of those signs were, they all have flag making.
Whatever. I'm not filmmaking.
But all I'm saying is, like, if you want to sit down and be like, what about that? What about that? Like, you probably could.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
While we're on the filmmaking, just one other thing. Did it seem like the guy syncing the audio knocked off about halfway through the movie?
Why?
Because
oh wait, there was one moment where there were a couple times where I was like,
I think it was ADR. I thought it was on worse and worse and worse.
There were a couple times where I did check to see if my audio was like on like English dub or something. I did check at one point. Yeah, I did.
I was pretty tired. It was very late when I was watching, but I don't think I caught any of that.
It doesn't. Doesn't matter.
No, that's one of the first things I noticed because, yeah.
You guys want to hear? You want to hear another fun story about this movie?
Sure.
So casually, the score was composed by Maurice Jarre, who has come up in here, and he decided to squeeze this in between Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Zhivago. So he had some free time between those two masterpieces. Two of his three Oscars, all three of his Oscars are for David Lean films, following with A Passage to India in the 80s, that David Lean film, like his last one. So he's French, and he was born in 1923. So I was like, I feel like this dude was alive during this in France. So I looked it up, and I could literally not find anything about whether or not he was, like, what he was doing during World War II. Apparently, he never really left France. So again, I'm like, was he a soldier? Was he a resistance member? And I literally couldn't find anything out. I did see that his father forced him basically to like study music. He was going to study other things, and his dad was like, no, you need to study music. This is what you're good at. So during this war, the composer of the film was in France studying music, and his first wife, who he would marry in, doesn't say, but I believe it was like the late 40s, was not only a French resistance fighter, she was a Holocaust survivor. That was his first wife. And they divorced in 1965. So they were probably going through a divorce with a son while he was scoring this movie. And the best part about this, and not only was the score incredible, the opening, those credits that we talked about before, and then the end where you go through the art again, no sound.
I mean, speaking of the end, just bring it back to cinematography, that last shot is an absolute fucking winner. The very last shot in the movie.
Yeah.
What a composition. That was amazing. I could not mention that.
Let me take a few scenes. That opening, Jeff, you're saying there's no sound during the packing up of the art?
At the very end, there was no score.
Not at the very end, but
when they did the title scroll where they said this film is dedicated to the people, the French resistance, and then they open, and then the score starts, of course. But it's not like Lawrence of Arabia that has a.
The score kicks in for sure in that amazing sequence.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Where they pack up the art, which again, just the directing of that was just absolutely bonkers. The staging and the moving of the camera was just incredible. Okay, so a few things that they set up that I felt like were so incredibly successful is that they had lost too many men and that you did not realize how many men were going to be involved with this. Right. And then how he physically brought them into it so that they were being held hostage at the front of the train. I thought it was so powerful. And it almost felt like I kept feeling the threat the whole time of his initial impulse to just blow the fucking train up was going to happen, right? So there was some suspense of that throughout, and you kept feeling that. So when they used them on the front of the train, which was, fucked up, but it worked, so that he kept having to just like do something else and try to mess up the track so that they couldn't move forward. I thought that was really effective, but it all built to, I feel like for me, it all built to this ending, which was the quiet climax that I thought, or the kind of not super exciting climax that I thought was the climax, the false resolution, if you will, is the second time he finds a way to disrupt the train. And so the first plastics blow up the rail and they fix it within an hour. And the second time, it's the famous scene where he knocks out the hooks. And so it really falls off. And there's some tension going into it. But I was like, is that it? Like, there was a little bit that was wondering, like, is that how this movie ends? And then right after that, you see it's emotional and informational, but for villains, when Scofield has the magnificent sequence where he realizes he lost and he can't do anything about it. And then
so he throws a tandy.
Scofield's last stand. So this builds to the quiet climax. Finally, Burt Lancaster.
I wanted to say Le Chiffre so much. Who's the Casino Royale villain? I want to say Le Chiffre so many times.
Yeah. He walks up and realizes Scofield is still there, which I thought also, like, That's so fascinating to me. And I know this is probably totally fictional, but the fact that the general refused to leave because, again, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, his message to Labiche, to Burt Lancaster, was what he was actually fighting for. You don't deserve this. This aspect of humanity and expression, this appreciation for something finer
he thought he was better than him.
he
thought he was better than him.
You'll never get it. And it doesn't belong to you.
Was don't fuck with the arts.
Well, they said like when he was going to sell them and it could, money as weapons, he said. But at the same time, there was also the Führer Museum. So they were trying to.
I don't believe in any of that. I think he was trying to. I think the philosophy was exactly what he said. Was that we want to own the best parts of being a human being because
that's what our museums are. You think we went to? You think we just like asked for these things in Africa? We went and said, "Look, we went and got this a fucking awesome thing. And we brought it back to America." That's what museums are. I think he was like, "We got this. We know it. It's amazing. It's beautiful, and we deserve it."
I mean, it's all Raiders of the Lost Ark.
We deserve. We appreciate it.
It builds to, and I loved it so much. Labiche, this working class guy, doesn't know even how to respond to that. And he turns around and sees all of the dead hostages, which, by the way, they just flippantly murdered all of those hostages. He just points to the machine gunner on top of the fucking train, and the guy fucking slays down like 30 people. And his answer to Scofield in total silence, not total silence, I love the ringing and the dinging of the metal decompressing and stuff on the train, the broken down train that's happening and filling this terrible silence. Lancaster turns around, looks at all those people on the ground that are dead. He turns back around and fucking blows Scofield away and then just walks away. There's nothing else to say and to fight for. They leave the art there. I thought it was just so fascinating that it came down to the philosophy. This movie didn't end with him going and sitting on one of the crates and waiting for the Americans to arrive and saying, I protected the art. He leaves.
Right.
The message behind, I thought that was so.
I thought too, because those bodies are going to rot. Those bodies are going to rot, and he's walking pretty slow too, and he's miles away from where he's going to go. But I also love that's
classic. Go ahead. Sorry, classic filmmaking. And this last thing I'll say about the ending. The theme is brought home by them intercutting between the boxes of the paintings that we had seen with those famous immortalized names on them, and the names we'll never hear of those dead resistance men. That intercutting blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Of course you should do it. It wasn't like the most innovative choice, but it just fucking worked. It was exactly what was happening inside of Burt Lancaster's head, even though he didn't understand why the art was so important. He was thinking about those people. We were thinking, if you hadn't done what you did to try to protect those people and try to protect the greater cause, we wouldn't be able to care about the other thing that we keep looking at. So one is supposed to have meaning because we've decided it does. One of them actually had meaning for people who lived through that experience.
Right.
I just thought that was so brilliant.
Well, it's like the most personal is the most universal, all that kind of stuff. It's like the opening scene is amazing and it sets everything up not the opening scene. This scene with the woman explaining why they need to save the art.
Yeah.
But actually, as cheesy as it is, the line, like they're dead, they won't remember it, but we will remember, is the point of this movie. And that's one of those lines too, where if they said it to the camera, it would be awful, but they say it to each other, and so there it's personal. You and I, just the three of us here, will remember, and that matters. And of course, you're seeing this in a movie, which means that now everybody who sees this movie is a part of this, which is why their deaths matter. If none of us did this, we wouldn't see it, and nothing, it would just be gone, and that's that. But they died, and now we are watching this in the future and it mattering. And again, you can make that point, and maybe you can even sound like, I just love the feel of that, and that's so nice. But like that's. They pulled it off. The long story short of the movie is, I feel like to me, that's what the movie is. The movie is, but we will remember. And they didn't do it in a way that threw it down my throat. They didn't do it in a messianic way like these are heroes. They did it in a way that was like, I know it's not actually true, Dave, but at the same time, there was probably a lot of heroic action. There were probably a lot of people who blew up railroads, and they just didn't do it all in 3 days in this particular way. That I feel like they pulled it off, and message received. And even though I'm tired of World War II movies,
I almost feel like the book was a framing device for these hero stories.
Probably, yeah. Everything that happened Lawrence of Arabia with the train stuff, that kind of shit happened in wars where trains were being used. They absolutely were blowing shit up, getting killed, fighting them in tiny
Why wouldn't they? The tracks are all over the place. You can't man all the tracks. You can't just protect those tracks.
Jay, what you were saying, I think I feel like just living in the time we're living in, art is another vehicle. It's a tiny little it's like a zoom in on the greater thing that I think people were ultimately rallying around in World War II, which is that at the end of the day, it's not clan versus clan anymore, tribe versus tribe. It's when you're talking about global warfare, it's ideas. Yes, you're defending ideas. And I thought art was such a good way. Not once did anybody say the word democracy in this movie, right? No. Like it had already been decided. People were rallying around that. And that's what the resistance, we didn't have to talk about it. So I thought it was fun that they used this other suspended idea of applying meaning to something that meant nothing to some people who were supposed to actually do the fighting. And I thought that, again, that was I was so impressed by that. They really didn't spoon it in too hard. It was right there if you wanted to see it. Everyone knew what they needed to know, and they still somehow managed to say ideas are worth fighting for, even if you don't completely understand the value of them in the time. If you agree and understand that the idea is important to people you align with.
I mean, just think.
Maybe that's too wordy, but
we keep saying the obvious ones: Monet, Manet. I don't even think Seurat was in there.
Matisse,
Picasso,
Van Gogh.
Oh, Matisse. There were fucking Matisse and Van Goghs in there. All of these French artists in basically what we would now consider Bohemia in the same time period, late 1800s into early 1900s. Why? Why was it that in this one, and again, Picasso was Spanish, but he went to France. Same thing with Vienna and music in the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. Why? Why there? Why were the greatest operas ever worldwide, for not even just ones that we understand, why were they all in Europe between 1790 and 1910? If you blow this train up, we don't ask why anymore and it goes away. And it's like, I think it helps us understand humanity. And again, you can do this so many ways, and it can be cheesy and it could be on the nose, and it could be people telling me I need to care about French art. Or you could do it in a way that's like, I'm glad they did that. And it's like, and wait a second, they were all there at the same time, because that's almost the afterthought. It doesn't matter if it was them. It could be the fucking three of us. It could be our fucking dick pics that people are dying over. And of course it's not, but it's like,
no, they'd blow up the fucking train if it was our dick pics.
But it's like, but this was our hip culture at the time. And it's like, we can forget about that. But anyway, just the fact that it happened.
It's the whole adage of like God, all these things are coming to light now. Like it's the very end, it's the tail end. And you have to imagine what people were, the best days of our lives kind of theme. What do we do now? Try to get back to life. Like what are we living for? What does life look like now that we're not fighting for our life? And this is, again, they said it without saying it. This is something to live for, to remember an identity, a culture, expression, something that actually gives you something to hold on to, so that you're not just warriors.
Right.
And God, they said it without saying it in a fucking action movie, which is ultimately what I think this was they probably sold it as an action movie, and there's a lot of action in it.
Making it current, the Nazis banned degenerate art, quote, 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 degenerate art. And so all of these were in limbo because they were deemed whether or not they were degenerate art, and because they were made by allies. The assumption was they're made by degenerates, so therefore they're degenerate, but they're actually masterpieces. So talk about that as your reflection to 2025, when we're just fucking unloading every single thing of value, or anything that you can't graph.
Yeah. I mean, I did notice, being in the 60s, a lot of the paintings in when they were still in the gallery were aligned. All the left were all the classics, and all the right were the ones that were fun to look at when you're on LSD.
Hey, first things first, Dave. They're all fun to look at when you're on LSD. Come on.
True.
All right. Anyway, we can wrap it up. I'm just saying the movie made us think this way because it was real, not because I'm idealistic. That's what I want. That's the point.
For sure. Yeah. And this is I don't know. I mean, whatever. We might have a mixed audience that's listening, but this is a weird time we're living in right now. And I felt like this was a very poignant and perhaps prescient movie when we're talking about a time where we're watching culture grabs happening in real time.
Certainly more poignant than we intended.
Thank God we have this movie podcast. All these movies we watch that are accidentally genius movies that we would have not watched if it wasn't for this movie where we had to fucking choose a movie from 1964. And thank God we didn't choose some piece of shit.
Guys, if they put a fucking train full of, but they've somehow cut off all of our digital feeds and we have a bunch of, just reels of these movies and they're on some train. Are you going to help me stop that train? We got to save that.
We have to rescue copies of our podcast.
Question. Yeah, but I'm gonna think. Well, if I die, how am I gonna podcast afterwards to tell the people?
That's okay. I can recreate anyone saying whatever you say.
All right, we should
we'll
settle
just
it down
your
there,
voice.
guys.
You're good.
This is good. But I just want to say again, fuck yeah, that Dasein and I thought the same thing about that guy. Who is the one who said this? The quote that I said at the beginning about Dave, and also he said
name?
the other. I can't remember his name. This machine is like a woman. If you don't treat her just the right way, she'll make you miserable. And it's like, we're going for universal here. The only thing, he messed up. He had the coins in his hand, which he shouldn't have done. But it's like, what a fucking character.
I mean, I knew those coins were going to come back to haunt him.
Jeff, I thought about that with the acting. My old adage, and I'm not the only person who would say this, but you only need one choice. You don't have to fucking play all these 30 fucking things. When he's on the train, it's his train.
Yeah, that's it.
And
That's
commitment
his
to that
character.
made him so fucking endearing.
When he's off the train, it's his train.
Yeah, he is. But I'm not gonna lie. When he was doing the oil, what you just referenced, I didn't realize he was going to be the one driving it. I didn't know he was the conductor. I just thought he was.
Because we live in a world where we think we have to outsource every single job. We don't think that the person who drives my pilot is not under the plane checking the engine. My pilot is going home and getting drunk at the bar and getting a good night's sleep. We just don't think that way anymore.
Or getting up and getting drunk at the bar and coming to work.
I hope not, Dave. That's why we have two pilots on the train.
His name was Michel Simon. And I think he was French. And he has acted a bunch. He's just that fucking good. That guy looked like he walked off the fucking street, off the rail yard, and they just threw him in the movie. That's a fucking actor, dude. Unbelievable. Really good.
Do you think they were doing too good of a paint job? It didn't have to be that good. Just fucking slap the paint on there. Like, why were they doing such a good job?
There's like 4 feet left. I was like, dude.
And he's like, wait, I'll get more. And it's like, we get it. It's white paint. It's okay. And they shot him. And I was like, fucking hell. Anyway, all right. And also, I love the deaths. I feel like they were still trying to pass the censorship. When anytime they were shot, they basically had rigor mortis, or not even rigor mortis. What is it when animals go into shock and they stiffen up, like those goats that just would fall over?
Rigor
mortis is when they shake. No, rigor mortis is when they shake. Like when cockroaches are dead, their leg is twitching.
Ironic you said that, because what also came out this year, they broke all those rules. Fistful of dollars.
Fuck yeah! We almost did it, but we had already done 2 hours more.
This is the first time that you could have. He started showing those things. So yeah, we are still living in censorship here in the West when that movie came out. All right.
Dave, I held for 1.5 seconds so that you could put in the gap right there. It is officially time. Oh.
Ew. Reflux.
Did your belly just come out?
Reflux, baby. Good God.
The beer is real. Carlos, I want some more. My Sierra Nevada is running out. Okay. All right. Dave likes when we guess, John. So let's go ahead. We did 54 and 64 in back-to-back weeks. So I'm going current. I'm going 2011 or 2010.
94. I'm gonna keep it going.
94 could be good. 94 is a good year.
Let's see if I actually remember to update everything. Here we go.
Let's see, Dave. Not to 19. 70s. John's so happy. John's like hard right now already. 77. Star Wars. Let's do Star Wars. Okay.
Oh God! Could you imagine? You want like 5,000 views and all of YouTube to come for us?
Let's not Google movies right this very second. Let's do what you've been watching and finish up this episode with our choice. So stick around to see what we're doing next week and be like Dasein and watch this movie within the next week, hopefully before we record. Dave, what did you watch this week?
Well, I'm going through my White Lotus phase. I'm in season 2 now. Nice. I'm enjoying that. I found it really slow at the beginning for season 1, and then it picked right up, and I was just like, I have to find out what's going on. So enjoying that. And then my wife got into this British show. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a cop who disappears twin brother. So he goes into the police department and pretends to be the cop. and he actually ends up solving crimes because
Is it a comedy?
It's a actual like almost procedural, but he's compelled to solve puzzles, and he sees patterns and everything, so he ends up solving a bunch of these crimes, and that led to me watching The Accountant.
Whoa.
And
are you excited for the sequel coming out?
I am now. That's a fucking good movie.
I'm glad you said that. I feel the way about The Accountant that I do about what's the Denzel series with him?
Equalizer.
Yeah, I thought the first Accountant was so good, and nobody fucking saw it.
I know.
This is the Ben Affleck Accountant movie, folks.
I'm watching it. I'm like, how the fuck did I sleep on this for so long?
Yeah,
I thought it was so good.
Well, it's a perfect role for him.
Yeah.
Really good. Is that all you saw?
That's it.
John?
All right. I watched White Lotus, The Pit. I watched all of Zero Day, Dave. Thank you for the rec, the Robert De Niro Netflix
I'm behind,
thing.
so...
Did you like it?
All right, I finished it. I did like it. Yeah, it's got like a... Jeff, you and I think we're texting about how IMDb ratings were always like through the roof for television shows. This one only has like a 7.
For news shows.
I thought that was a little low. I thought I really enjoyed it for what it is and the way it feels. I'm not gonna lie. Again, we're in the time that we're living in. In the first episode, De Niro like goes to like this public situation and there's a scuffle and he ends up giving an impromptu, like very short little speech. And I like teared up hearing somebody speak that competently to a group of people in conflict about political philosophy. Like I honestly, I paused the thing and I like started like a tear left my eye and ran down my cheek. I was so moved by wishing that was our case. I also finished started and finished Adolescence. I don't want to say anything. It's really strong. Everybody should watch it.
Episode 3. Did you love it? Episode 3. Did you love the work?
No, what you need to watch now is the How They Made It special.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if the fact that it was all in one take is why that show is so special for me.
No.
It's very cool and admirable, and it doesn't feel like a gimmick. But if they had chosen to cut, I still think I would have been like, fuck, this is good.
Just fewer cuts, like the studio, just fewer cuts. And the gimmick by episode 4, when they were driving to the store, I was like, I wish the store was closer. So that's where the gimmick ran out for me. I was like, can you have gone to a closer place? They were in the car for like 3 minutes talking about nothing. And I was like, this is too long. Give me a cut.
Yeah.
But it was, other than that, 9 out of 10. It was amazing. Fun. Okay.
Yeah, it's really excellent. And then the studio. And then the movie I watched was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because I was up in San Francisco last week and Brandon and I were talking about those movies. Hadn't seen it in a long time. I wasn't a huge fan of that trilogy when it first came out, so I'm giving it another go, and I had a really good time watching it. Jeff?
I caught up on the other films. So like White Lotus, obviously I watched as soon as this episode ended last week, and so tonight's the finale. I watched Maybe Happy Ending, which is a Broadway musical, which I know is not what we do, but it's really, really good. And there are robots. So it's like, I usually love like when people are like, their soul is like that one's on my fire. List. But it was so charming with Darren Criss of Glee, and then it was just like it was so well done. It was like a Pixar Maybe Happy Ending. It was an original musical, and it is so charming and amazing. People were like oohing and awing by the end of the show. It's like a Pixar movie on stage with 2 humans playing robots. It is so well done. I highly recommend that. And I have a feeling I watched something else that I forgot, but fuck it.
I forgot one thing. I'll just say very quickly. We are getting ready to go to Paris at some point in the next month or so, hopefully. So I watched Julie and Julia last night. Elizabeth and I watched that.
And
I always love the Meryl Streep and Stanley Tucci. And
Tucci's so good in that, yeah.
Amy's they're doing it, but I think you're there for Tucci and Meryl Streep, right? I feel like they're just, and everything they're doing in Paris. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit because, again, it was a little bit like, whoa, I forgot this movie had anything to do with that. That's during the McCarthy era. And at one point, Tucci's character gets called back to America to be questioned for their loyalty to America and everything they were doing in China when they worked for the previous version of the CIA, the OSS or whatever they used to be called in World War II. And they were cutting his program in France. There were so many things where I was like, oh my God, whenever the politics were being talked about, I was like, dude, what is going on? History repeats itself just too quickly. Dave, what'd you watch? Oh yeah,
we already did this. I also watched a lot of basketball. NCAA. Congrats to the UConn women. Congrats to the UConn women. Duke men, you blew it, but whatever. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Florida versus Auburn. Okay, cool. So let's listen to some Dasein, and then we will Oh, in the studio I watched. We'll give you our picks in like 2 seconds.
Oh, I watched the studio too. Yeah. Keep going.
Studio's good. Okay. You said the studio. What is happening to you, John? Are you drunk?
A little bit. Yeah. And we're back.
We're back?
I can't wait. So many good movies in 1977. We visited it recently. Dave and I talked about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We're going back, John. You were not here, so we are so excited to return for The Duelists, which you got to rent, but it's worth the rent. $3. Just fucking get something on Amazon right now and get the eco credit. It'll be like basically free. What do you guys have to say about that?
Ridley Scott's first feature, folks. Let's see what it's all about.
His first movie was set in 1801. His second movie was Alien. Come on, Ridley.